Justin Willman is the host, executive producer, creator, brains, mind of the outfit of the Magic Prank Show on Netflix. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby. Justin, I just want to kick things off, make it simple. What's the most important thing to a good prank?
Oh, well, in 2024,
Yeah.
it needs to subvert expectations. You got to do something that people feel is fresh, hasn't been done before. And for me, I mean, as a magician, like nothing subverts expectations like magic. So I kind of always think about pranks in terms of where's the magic? What can you do to use a little bit of trickery to alter someone's sense of reality? And I feel like if it's just mean, it doesn't feel good after you watch it. People don't really, they don't feel good about themselves. But if there's some sort of insight into human behavior, I feel like it gives you something to chew on.
Mm. And this
Yeah.
show, is a forum for you to do magic. It's called the Magic Prank Show, makes sense. But with that, how is it different for you as a magician, doing tricks in this context? What do you get out of it that you don't get out when you're doing magic in front of an audience that have all come to see a magic show?
Yeah, well, what you don't get is applause. People are not very
Yeah.
happy in this forum, but what's different for me is that you need to disguise the magic, like if anything is, if right off the bat something just unreal happens or something like plainly impossible when people are kind of in their right state of mind, it's kind of like, are you a magician? And then you're kind of the prank is blown. So I'm kind of having to disguise the things that I normally would come out with right off the bat. In a live show, hit them hard, do something that blows their mind right away, and then they know they can sit back and relax and enjoy the show. But I think in this case, you kind of need to ease into it with just little baby steps until you get to the real surreal thing. Um, I find the relief that people feel at the end when they realize it was just a prank is kind of that applause that you get in a live show. So you do get that, you do kind of get that sense of, oh, that was amazing. How the hell, you get all those questions. But but yeah, it is quite different. I mean, sometimes there's like only the teeniest bit of magic in there that kind of ups the ante and takes it to another level. But it is the performer who likes to be in the center of the spotlight and kind of take all the credit. You got to have to wash that away. Therapy helps wash that away so that you're just one piece in the puzzle of kind of a bigger quilt of brain effery, if you will.
Yeah, when you're performing magic, you're gonna get an applause or people be unimpressed and you'll get silence, right? But
Right.
how worried were you about the potential reactions for this when you've put people on this emotional roller coaster and they could be quite angry with you, not at the end of it? Were there any tricks where you were like, I do not know how this person's gonna react. I'm a bit worried for my safety.
For sure. I mean, like when I'm creating a bit for my live show, it's like what will be incredible and funny for as many people as possible. Whoever walks in the theater, I don't care who you are. I want to entertain you. For this, it's an audience of one, which was a real fun shift for me in that I was able to make everything completely bespoke to this person. Kind of almost in a creepy way, like deep dive into their life and with that whatever information you can get without them, catching wind of it, to create something that will completely tailor to them, and then map out all the potential ways they might react to it. I mean, there are like serial killer elements to the amount of prep that we would do, like just in terms of like if X happens, we go to plan B. If Y happens, we go to plan C. When I had this guy in the back seat of the car for this blindfold, well, I keep calling it blindfold drive. It's based on a trick called the blindfold drive. We're convincing this guy that he's in an Uber ride from hell, where I'm the driver and I'm not looking at the road at all. And it's to teach him a lesson about his own distracted driving. And my biggest fear was, I was thinking, like, if I was in the back seat and I thought I was going to die, I would strangle the driver, right? I would try to put him in a chokehold or jump out of the car, like, and do a barrel roll or something. And he did try to open the car door to like leap out. We deactivated the car door, but I didn't have any defense if he did try to choke me, other than calling kind of on the mic, kind of calling some sort of distress signal, and they would intervene. But I just had to go with my gut instinct. I think like sometimes the what felt like the worst thing they could do would just be leave the situation.
Yeah.
Go to where cameras aren't rolling. You don't get the reveal. It doesn't make great TV. It was all for nothing in that case. All that mattered is that you just kept them in it. Keep them in it. Draw it out as long as possible.
Yeah. And like also like is there more magic when the audience is not expecting magic?
Yeah, I think the littler things. That's a good insight. I mean, when they don't know you're a magician, um, one, it's easier for them to maybe miss the little bits of magic that you plant along the way. So you kind of need to make sure they notice these little seeds. But you do need to measure yourself. Little bits of trickery or illusion or things that kind of bend the reality go much further than they would if I walked out on stage and did it. When people are expecting like he's a magician, blow our minds. Trying to think of a good example to this. I went on a blind date. We did a blind date prank. This girl wanted me to teach her mom a lesson about her serial ghosting ways. She wanted her to find, ultimately to find happiness. She feels like she doesn't give these guys a chance. So just like these little bits of coincidence, we played kind of a icebreaker first date game. On the count of three, say a place you always wanted to go. 1, 2, 3, Greece. And she says Greece, I say Greece. And if I did that on stage, it would kind of be like, okay, what else you got? But in this case, it was so real. It was so plausible yet synchronistic, like that it felt like, oh my God, like one of those like serendipity, right place at the right time type of things. And that was the big lesson, is to kind of slow your roll, for
Mm.
sure.
'Cause
Less is more.
when I go to a magic show, I want to like, it's beautiful being fooled and being like sort of like tricked, but you sort of in your head know it's magic the whole time. There's a trick, there's something going on. Where for this, people think it's really happening in real life, these unbelievable things.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, yeah, magic when you're watching a magician is a trick, and magic when you don't know you're watching a magician is a prank, in a sense.
mm,
And it was especially filming in LA, where people are kind of on high alert for BS.
yeah, and
It
television
was
shows.
really, it was, yeah, and television shows,
Yeah.
exactly. And
What show
just
am I on today?
microphones, yeah, sniffing out production, like
Yeah.
that looks like a PA, in disguise. So we really had to like be meticulous about every little aspect of it, for sure.
Yeah. Did it like just getting in the weeds a bit on it? Like, did you at the end of pranks have to get permission from the people you had pranked? Like to like, so you had to sort of do it in a way where they were comfortable with it being on
Yes.
TV afterwards.
Well, I don't know the details of the
Yeah.
law.
Yeah.
Luckily,
Yeah.
that's not my department. But I
Yeah.
think we needed to, because we were filming in LA, we needed to get them to sign something that acknowledged that they knew they were being filmed
Mm,
before it even began.
yeah.
So most of the pranks involve some sort of ruse
Mm.
that either involved them having to sign a liability thing, for a sleep study, or or sign an NDA, for
Yeah.
a robot,
Yeah. The
demonstration.
video game competition or whatever. Like for the
Exactly,
yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So you bury something in a stack of things that doesn't feel odd that they know they're being filmed, right? But then once the prank is over, and they know what they were being filmed for, they do need to sign something that lets them know that they're okay with it being on Netflix. And everybody signed.
Also, there were
Like that.
no there were no pranks that you couldn't air.
There were no pranks we couldn't air.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no margin for, I stretched the budget as far as we could.
Mm.
And so like we basically had no margin for error, we couldn't afford a burn rate. So, and the people pleaser in me doesn't want to leave anybody upset. Like I don't want to mess up a relationship between these two people because I helped them prank her, and leave more trauma than I helped than I was trying to clear up. So the people pleaser in me really tried to like ensure that we all hugged it out at the end, and for the most part, we did. I've kept in touch with that. I'm on a text basis with everybody,
Oh, that's
the
good.
accomplices and the marks as well. When it came out, I wanted to make sure,
Yeah.
they were stable with what happened.
I know there's like obviously the production element and the element of we like we need this certain number of episodes, we don't have any more money to burn and things. But is it also just like does that make it a bit reassuring knowing that these pranks, which sometimes like were quite traumatic things for people, they were happy with them at the end, and that like sort of validation for how you
Yeah,
approach
like I kind of wanted to, I didn't want to, I wanted to have an eye for an eye approach, like whatever I did, I wanted it to be somewhat commensurate with what I was, what they came to me asking for.
yeah.
Like nobody, nobody wants to make a loved one think that they've witnessed a gory death,
Yes.
like, so it feels like low hanging fruit. It just feels awful. Oh, you just watched your boyfriend drive off a cliff, watch you react. That just doesn't
Yeah.
feel
Mm,
good.
yeah.
But but yeah, it's again, it's that as a performer, I want to please all the people all the time if I can, and for some people, like my problem with most prank shows is that the empathy factor as a viewer, I feel, bad. What did that person do to deserve it? Even if it's funny, it kind of feels like if it's a mean spirited prank for no reason, it just feels like, shooting fish in a barrel. So I knew that that's a thing that I do not like about prank shows. So I want to make sure at least everybody who we pranked deserved it in some sense to make it palatable for the viewer. And that hopefully by the time the prank is over and they know why it was happening, that they're like, yeah, you're right. Okay,
Mm.
we're
Yeah, and
square
I
at this
guess
point. Yeah.
having one of their loved ones help collaborate probably helps you sort of know what those people's limits are and like what they'll appreciate or not. Like,
I
yeah,
mean, the sense of relief, just the sense of relief that comes from when they know this wasn't real. Like they'd sign anything. They were so
yeah,
happy, and that it came from a loved one, from a loving place. It was great.
yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, and like you said, like the empathy is sort of important and stuff. Is that sort of also why you put in parts of your own story and background and things, and sort of try to make some personal connections in the episodes?
Yeah, like in Magic for Humans, that was my big discovery. Was just in Magic for Humans, we kind of explored themes of the human condition through magic, through this foreign lens, but trying to explore very familiar topics. And I just find it felt it felt much easier for me to kind of write around and connect with, and I think make viewers connect with why I'm doing what I'm doing. And magicians don't normally reveal too much, about themselves. So I felt like at least by being real about what I could be real about, being honest about the things that I can be honest about. You don't necessarily as a viewer want to know how it works, but you want to know why you're doing it.
Mm,
And those
yeah,
are things that I can be honest about. And it's easier to write what you know. So I felt like that was helpful, and also just kind of the bigger themes of the show. The pranks that we did. And I normally hate the word pranks because it feels so kind of disposable and plastic. But all were tied to I think deeper things that we all struggle with. Like I think most people are guilty of many of the offenses that we avenged in this show. So hopefully people can watch it and be like, at least identify with either the culprit or the victim as we go. And I wanted to make it clear that I'm no saint either, and that I'm
yeah,
maybe trying to write my own moral compass in the process.
yeah. What was the most challenging one to pull off?
Well, man, they were all little battles in a way. The the one that got the most resistance, at least from the fellow showmakers,
Mm,
for was the sleep study one, where we
yeah,
convinced a guy that he took part in a sleep study gone wrong, and mostly because a lot of people, and I mean, for people who haven't seen it, essentially this guy Harold, was tormented his younger brother as a kid, and would terrorize him while his younger brother was sleeping. He would jump out from under the bed after his brother had fallen asleep, and
mm,
his brother lost sleep over it. So
literally.
I wanted to literally, yeah. So I wanted to do a prank, and then this, even before I heard their story, I wanted to do some sort of a prank that made time travel in some sense real, to somebody. So as close as I could get in my head was convincing a guy that he took part in a sleep study that went wrong for some sort of high-tech sleep pod cryo thing, and that he woke up 10 years in the future, and the world he knew was gone. So it necessitated us, having him go to sleep in a doctor's office and then wake up in the desert in some sort of dystopian universe. That also meant that we needed to move him without him knowing he was being moved 50 miles.
I imagine the
And
paperwork on that was a
the
nightmare.
paperwork on that was tricky, and without the aid of any sort of drugs, of course. So I wanted to experiment with hypnosis, and people are hypnosis, whether or not it's real or not. Like I have several friends who are hypnotists. I am not susceptible to hypnosis, but I have people who I'm very close with who would tell me the truth if they were faking it, who have said that it's legit. And I've seen enough hypnotists, have success actually knocking people out and waking them up without recollection of what happened or how they got there. So anyway, we wanted to use hypnosis to move a guy, and a lot of people they just didn't think it would work, And I know even for viewers, it's kind of it's a bit polarizing, but luckily for this guy, it worked. We kind of did our homework, and it was probably the most big swing, I think, to have this guy put all of our chips in this in the basket of this guy not waking up and blowing the whole thing and being like, what the hell's, why am I in a van before he wakes up in the desert? But that was one of my favorites.
Yeah. Which one was the most fun?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, the robot prank where I convinced the guy I was a robot that had been assembled from parts was very fun. I kind of practiced these robotic movements. I was not great at it, so I tried to do less is more, and just the and it was one of the first pranks that we did. And just when I kind of walked off the stand and I go and I sit across the table from this guy who is just examining every inch of my face. I mean, he had just seen me get assembled from parts, including this head, right? Had this head made. So he just seen all these body parts go together. And then when he was misdirected, it switched for me, and I was kind of made up to look exactly like that. So I kind of had that working in my favor, and that his head was just constantly telling himself, probably, it's a robot. I just saw its head on the table. It's a robot. It's a robot. And having to kind of maintain that illusion without, blinking excessively, twitching, scratching, and just knowing that he was buying it, in that moment, kind of just it became a very pretty like an incredible moment for me as a amateur actor to kind of just live in that space and try to draw that out as long as possible. And even by the end, after we revealed, he still wasn't sure if I was like real, just because the magic part of it that we kind of hid passed by undetected. It bought us a lot of leeway. So that was very fun. And I was, I got to surprise myself as an actor there to not break, which I was not sure I could pull off. The blind date was very fun. For me, when someone is in it as, for more than 10 minutes, and then it's up to 15 minutes, and you're kind of created this real surreal world, like, it's just like I said at the beginning, it's a study of just human behavior in extraordinary circumstances, which I find fascinating.
Yeah. Well, Justin, thanks so much for chatting with us today. Hope you can get ahead in the Emmy race that's coming up.
I hope I can get ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
In the pun race.
Yes, in the I think it's the variety scripted series for the Magic Prank Show. I believe that's the category. People who want to follow the Emmys can go to goldderby.com. And Justin, just thanks so much for your time today. It was so much fun to chat.
Matt, pleasure. Thanks for your time.